Good morning and welcome to the San Francisco Interfaith Council online briefing for community and faith partners. Today's program addresses the critical issue of abuse against elders and dependent adults. A special thanks. The San Francisco Interfaith Council online briefings are supported by a grant from MetaFund. Thank you. The important and ongoing work of the San Francisco Interfaith Council would not be possible without generous funding from congregations, corporations, faith-based social service agencies, foundations, judicatories, and supporters like you. Help us spread the word. Visit sfinterfaithcouncil.org to learn about SFIC programming and how to become a supporter. Follow SFIC on Facebook and Twitter, and subscribe to SFIC's YouTube channel to watch all of our previous virtual events. A bit of housekeeping. Today's program is being recorded. For audio and video, all participants are muted and without video to minimize distraction. To submit a question or comment, select the chat button at the bottom of your screen and send a message to Q&A. Questions will be forwarded to the presenter and answered time permitting. To activate closed captions, select the live transcript button at the bottom of your screen and click Enable Live Transcription. There's no time like the present for San Franciscans to prepare for changes in the virus by taking basic actions that can protect themselves, their families, and their community. The San Francisco Department of Public Health urges people to be ready for COVID by staying up to date on their vaccinations, knowing how to reach a doctor, keeping a supply of COVID tests, keeping masks handy, planning ahead for a possible infection, and staying informed with trusted sources of information such as sf.gov/COVID. The San Francisco Department of Public Health recommends the following for keeping congregations safe during COVID. Continue to gather. Keep in mind your congregation's demographics. Encourage vaccines and boosters. Wear masks indoors. Reinforce the stay home if sick message. Provide testing resources and share be COVID ready messaging found at sf.gov/be-covid-ready. For more information, call 628-652-2700. The COVID vaccines are safe, effective, and open to everyone 6 months and older. Boosters to everyone 5 months and older, and the updated booster to everyone 12 years and older. Mpox vaccines and boosters are now available to those exposed and to certain eligible groups. Go to sf.gov for more information on vaccines. Now is the time to come together, San Francisco. Together we can stop Asian discrimination, bias, hate, and violence. The COVID-19 virus has no race or nationality. It is simply a disease. To report a hate crime, call the SFPD at 415-553-1133. And at this time, I'd like to hand the floor over to the Executive Director of the San Francisco Interfaith Council, Michael Pappas. Michael, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Trey. Good morning. I'm Michael Pappas, and on behalf of the San Francisco Interfaith Council, I want to welcome you to this week's online briefing for community and faith partners. Communities of faith and religious institutions are hubs for aging adults, where they feel safe, valued, and may escape social isolation. As such, faith and lay leaders are uniquely positioned to serve as their advocates and connect them with vital social services. This week's online briefing for community and faith partners, hosted by the San Francisco Interfaith Council, welcomes Ali Chiu of the Elder Abuse Prevention Program at the Institute on Aging, who will present important information on abuse against elders and dependent adults. In addition to offering a basic definition of elder abuse, she will discuss the dynamics and different types of abuse, who abuses and who's abused, and red flags of which to be aware. Her remarks will also provide the audience with practical and vital resources offered by public and nonprofit service providers as well as critical knowledge and tools to protect this vulnerable sector of our community. And now at this time, I offer the interfaith statement read at the beginning of each of our San Francisco Interfaith Council convenings. This is an interfaith community. Whatever our individual belief, it can be freely expressed here with no apologies. If we're invited to offer prayer in this setting, it should be offered according to the tradition with which we identify. If we are invited to speak on a subject from the perspective of our tradition, we are free to do so without fear of offending those who come from another tradition. We come together as people of faith to learn from each other, that we might better understand the multiplicity of faith traditions in our city and in our world. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to welcome friend and colleague Tom Nolan, who in his retirement has graciously agreed to serve as the San Francisco Interfaith Council's liaison to the San Francisco Department of Disabilities and Aging Services, where he served for many, many years. Tom, it is wonderful to have you with us today, and we invite you at this time to ground us in a reflective moment.
Thank you, Michael. I'm honored to be asked to offer a reflection at today's briefing. I know the main presentation about elder abuse is certainly a very important topic, and I'm really glad we're having this today. The Department of Disability and Aging Services received and investigated over 7,000 reports of abuse, self-neglect, and exploitation every year. 7,000. Currently, there are close to 1,000 individuals under conservatorship. I am currently involved tangentially with an older adult friend who is experiencing serious health issues. In the last few years, she has been victimized financially. Several close friends are currently caring for her and while attempting to find a permanent, safe place, an affordable place for her, which is not an easy task in San Francisco. So in preparation for these remarks today, I turned to the council's mission statement, so ably read by Michael just a few minutes ago, which says, if we are called upon to speak up, we should do so unashamedly from the perspective of our own faith tradition and in that tradition's language. So as a Roman Catholic and as a communicant of St. Ignatius Parish, I began considering what my faith tradition has to say for guidance around these issues of aging in general. Then I remembered the role of patron saints. So I did a little research. I'm well aware of the vital role of St. Anthony of Padua, for example. He plays in helping us find things that are lost, like keys. I have that need to invoke his intercession on a pretty regular basis. I'm also aware of St. Jude in helping with difficult situations and even hopeless ones. And St. Francis of Assisi for environmental and animal welfare concerns. And as an Irish person, of course, I'm deeply indebted to St. Patrick for driving all the snakes out of Ireland. I'm also aware one of the church's newest saints, Mother Teresa of Calcutta, whose work with the poor is well known. It turns out, though, there are more than 10,000 official Catholic saints in the church. I knew there were a lot, but I had no idea we had that many. I knew that there were a lot. And so some of them I found patrons are for good health, for cancer, for musicians, dementia, menopause, pensioners, and throat issues. And the one I was looking for is the patron saint of the elderly. And that's St. John Jugan, the founder of the Little Sisters of the Poor. And again, St. Anthony of Padua, who has evidently dual roles. I read the sister's extraordinary compassion, her story about her ministry to the elderly poor, including begging on the streets to help support her mission. Saints serve as models, and their stories are like parables, teaching us lessons and offering encouragement on our own faith journeys. There are many in our community who are, in fact, saints, if not declared so by the church. I can think of many of the heroes and saints in my life. For example, the courageous, loving people who rose to the occasion when the AIDS epidemic began. It hit my community, the LGBTQ community, in a big way. Ruth Brinker, who was the founder of Project Open Hand, began cooking and delivering meals with love to persons living with AIDS. Then a new mysterious disease, a deadly disease. At that time, there's a great deal of fear about because no one knew how it was spread, but she did it anyway. To my mind, she remains a real hero and a real saint, even if she's never canonized. Other saints are those who give all for human rights, from the first responders in our own time of COVID. Saints are not perfect, as I'm sure they are aware of everyone's knowledge, but their heroism cannot be denied. I also suggest that the caregivers for the sick and the dying assuredly are saints, doing tough, vital work with compassion. For some, a question is, why do we need saints at all? For me, their example and their love are very helpful on my own faith journey. They form a rich tapestry in my life, and I'm deeply grateful to them. Thank you.
Thank you. And, you know, when I think about the saints, excuse me, when I think about the saints, I'm reminded of some teachings in the tradition in which I was raised, where the saints were called ordinary people who did extraordinary things. And somebody once quipped, I don't know why people make such a big deal about the saints. They're the normal ones. We're the ones with the problems. So I think that we're all called to do these extraordinary things. And I think we have unique opportunities to do that. We're going to hear today about some possibilities and also to equip ourselves with some unique resources. We are very, very grateful to have with us today Ali Chiu of the Elder Abuse Prevention Program at the Institute on Aging. The Institute on Aging is an important partner with us in our work. And Ali, I am just so grateful to have met you and to learn about your extraordinary work. And so we invite you to educate us so that we can be better protectors of those who have been entrusted to our care, in particular, aging adults and dependent adults. The floor is yours, Ali.
Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah. I am very, very grateful to be able to be here. I am Ali Chiu. I go by she, her, hers. I'm with Institute on Aging, the Elder Abuse Prevention Program. I am someone with a disability, so I use assistive technology. I am going to, what do you call it? Turn off my screen so I could better attend to my presentation with my other ear. So here, I am here to kind of, discuss basic elder abuse dynamic and information with you. Trey, if you could go to the slide with the two people holding hand, that would be fantastic. So just wanted to really, for us to check in about, what is elder abuse and what's the basic dynamic of it. There's so many ways to look at it, right? It is domestic violence, it is random violence, it's a hate crime. What is it, right? And then also to really, talk about what type could be. I am someone who have worked in violence prevention for many, many years. Started, from 1999. I work at Asian Women's Shelter. I work at Riley Center. Those are domestic violence shelters. And a lot of time, and I hear people say, well, they never hit me, so I'm not being abused, right? You hear that all the time. So I'm here to kind of really share those information with folks and say, hey, just because you're not hit doesn't mean that you're not experiencing that. Okay. And the last thing I want to share today is really sharing that red flag. What can we look out for, and what can we, how can we support each other when we see this red flag and possibly some resources. Okay, great. So let's go to the next slide when we see the definition of. Hold on one second. My computer kept talking. Okay, great. So here you see the definition. This is the definition of California. If folks are joining us or watching us YouTube, every state has different definition. Just really wanted to put it out there. Sometimes people say, whoa, that's not what I heard, right? But so I'm only focusing on California definition. That's where I work and that's where I live, right? So the definition of elder abuse, as you can see, define abuse against elder adult who are 65 and older, and dependent adult who are 18 to 64. And what type are those? You see, I'm listening to my screen. That's why I would probably pause from time to time, okay? Inflicting physical or emotional abuse, neglect, or financial exploitation, and we're going to get into details of that I'm afraid my dog is going to start barking. Sorry about that. So a lot of time we're gonna, hear those type of views from somebody who is in the trust relationship, or gain trust in some way. So this definition really, clearly outline, wow, what are we looking at, right? Trey, if you could go to the next slide, that would be great. One thing I wanted to really kind of point out, we have a lot of people in that definition in our community, right? We're looking at the demographic, right? So looking at the most recent census, 52 point, I'm so bad with number, million people are at the age of 65. That's a lot. That's a lot of people. 13% of population, and it's just gonna get more, right? Which I'm really loving, because we are in a great city to get old, right? According to the 2020 census, 1 out of 4 people identify themselves as someone with disabilities. So those are things to really take into consideration. Who are we talking about when we're talking about elder abuse and those definitions? Trey, if you could go to the next slide, that would be great. One thing to really kind of look into it is that a lot of different states, not a lot, some states do not kind of include abuse against dependent adults as part of elder abuse. So we want to be aware of that. That's why I clearly say at the beginning that this is a California thing. Okay. And fortunately, a lot of states do include that definition, so we can really protect people with disability as well. My fantastic program coordinator, Annette, had put this QR code thing. So when you are looking at the screen, if you can read more about those articles that we are quoting it here. The first thing that I have here is this NPR article talk about people with intellectual disability are 7 times more to be sexually abused. And that's really scary comparing to people without intellectual disability. Women are 40% more, a higher chance to experience intimate relationship violence. So those, I just really want us to take that into consideration when we are looking at elder abuse and abuse in general. Okay. Let's go to next slide. Okay. So this is the slide we talk about who are the abuser. I'm so used to doing this presentation in person, and this is when I would do this, okay, everybody popcorn, tell me who are the abuser, right? But we are in Zoom land, so this is what I got, right? So abuser could be just about anyone. But again, like we talked about earlier, when you look at the people listed here, family members, children, cousins, neighbors, these are maybe people who we trust, caregiver, and it could also be institution, right? It can be bank, could be teachers, could be somebody we trust in our community. It could be just about anyone, right? But I just really want us to kind of look at this definition and say, wow, it could really be anyone. Trey, let's see if we can get the video. We're gonna watch a quick video and then we'll go in to talk about the type of abuse. We don't hear the sound. Okay.
Well, you can't. She's just not up to seeing visitors today or tomorrow. Well, it's just not possible. She's not seeing anybody, and she doesn't want to see anybody. No, not even you. You'll just have to wait until she feels better.
Ed, come here. I want that. Ed!
Now she's up again and calling me. I have to hang up. I'll call you soon when she feels better. Listen, Mom, you're just not in a position to have visitors right now. Maybe once you sign the documents, you'll feel better.
but I'm feeling fine.
Mom, we both know you'll feel better once you sign the house over to me. I just don't want you feeling overwhelmed with the burden of the house on your mind. All right. You might as well just go to your room then. Because we have nothing else to talk about until you sign. And you're not seeing any visitors until this is sorted out.
Oh, I hate these things.
Here, let me do it. What's your PIN number?
1970, your birth year.
Hi, Gloria.
Oh, hi, dear. How are you doing?
It's not working. We'll try again tomorrow.
But Mom, you had money in your pocket.
Come on, I don't want to hear about money we don't have. Let's go. Come on, let's go.
Mary, I'm hungry. Are you on your way out to the store again?
Oh, hey guys.
Oh, Phil, you're back. How was school today?
Oh, there's no school today, Gramps. Just practice.
Okay, I am on my way out. Dad, you stay comfortable. I'll grab some food and bring it back later.
But Mary, I'm hungry now.
You'll be fine for a little bit, Dad. I'll hurry, okay? Can you get your grandpa a glass of water and take him back to his room? There, Dad, make sure you take your pill today too, okay?
I thought I already did.
Nope, and you missed yesterday too, so just take a couple of extra. He'll be fine. He just needs a nap.
What'd you say?
Nothing, Dad. Make sure to have a lie down. Okay, I'll see you guys when I get back.
All right, come on, Gramps. Let's go. All right. Almost there, Gramps. Almost there. All right, and there you go. There you go, Gramps. Let's go.
Wait, you're not gonna just leave him like that, are you?
He'll be fine.
I don't know, man. That just doesn't seem right.
He'll be fine. My mom gave him something that's gonna help him sleep for a while. Come on, we're gonna be late for practice.
You know what? I just remembered. I gotta go home first and get my cleats. So I'll just meet you there, okay?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'll see you there. Okay.
Great, Trey. If you could stop the video here, that would be wonderful. So I want to take a second to kind of let that video sink in. Every time I see this, I show this video, it just really hit me very hard how our loved one could be treated like this, right? And I have tears in my eyes. Yeah, it's so hard to see that, but we see this all the time, right? So this is just one form and there are many forms, right? There's just one kind of elder abuse. It's very, very clear that that's a part of domestic violence, right? Our family member taking advantage of us, knowing that we are vulnerable in certain way. So I really just, want to have that sink in and, understand that, there's so many forms of elder abuse, but that this is just one kind. It's just one kind that many people don't want to talk about outside of the family. It's a form of domestic violence. So now we're looking at the type of different abuse, right? So, of course, number one that we talk about is a physical abuse that includes hitting, pushing, and different form of physical abuse. One thing I really want to highlight is, over or under Medicaid, as you see in the video, she gave him medicine so he can sleep, so everybody can go on and do their thing, and she gave him more. That's just not okay. That's really not okay. And in the definition, we see that it is a form of physical abuse. The second thing I want to talk about is sexual abuse. Whenever I talk about this, people sometimes ask me, what do you mean? We don't need to talk about sexual abuse against seniors and people with disabilities, because that doesn't happen. You'll be very surprised. You'll be very, very surprised that, it does happen a lot, and it happening in a different way that I have listed here. Touching, unwanted touching and intercourse, and different form of sexual abuse. A lot of time, and when I see that a lot when I work in the shelter, where a lot of time women with disability are being sexually abused. They were told, well, you can feel it. So what's the difference? You don't know any difference. So what, it's not hurting you. So those are the excuses that abuser used, right? Threats. Very, very easily, right? Okay, you don't sign the house over to me. Hey, you don't get to see people. That's actually a form of isolation, but that can be a different form of threat, right? You don't want to tell people, you don't want to do this and that for me, or sign the house to me, or allow me to have your bank account or access to money and different things. I'm going to out you that tell people that you are HIV positive. I'm going to tell people that you are a queer. I'm going to tell people that you are you don't have document. People use threats, a different form of threat to control the survivor. I like to use the survivor rather than victim, because it's more person-centered approach. Isolation. Isolation is a big no-no, right? But we see that a lot, like the first vignette, where he just wouldn't let her talk to anyone, wouldn't let her have any visitor, that's really not okay. One other form of isolation I really want to point out is that a lot of time people are abusing, let's just say that the first vignette where the son is abusing the mother, right? And so he allowed the mother to go to places, visit friends and stuff, but he goes with the mother all the time. So she has no opportunity to talk about him, quote, behind his back about his abusive behaviors. That's a form of isolation. A lot of times, like, well, he's not isolating me. He let me go to places, but he doesn't give you any opportunity to talk about stuff. That's a form of isolation. Financial abuse. There's so many ways of financial abuse. You see the daughter taking mother's money from the ATM, right? That's one form of financial abuse. There are a lot of online scam, a different type of scam, and different kind of financial abuse that we see from just from dating, from romance, from people playing poker game and got into a relationship and actually turn people into a money mule. So we have seen that a lot. Abandonment, that's pretty self-explanatory, right? Neglect, basically like, well, she's kind of neglecting her father, right? Over-medicating him and not really taking care of him, and self-neglect, which we'll go into right now. Trey, if you could go to the next slide. Yes. Self-neglect is a form of elder abuse. I really wanted to make sure that folks know about that. What do you mean it's a form of elder abuse? Nobody's hitting anybody. Nobody's doing anything, right? But in in California, we see that as a form of abuse. People are unable to pay their bills. We have seen cases where people are unable to pay their bill, unable to pay their rent, not because they refuse, like quote refuse, right? But they are unable to recognize that they are not taking care of their bills, their health. They are not taking their medication. We have seen cases where our survivors, walking around in San Francisco with just their underwears. They are not aware that the weather temperature, they are wearing too much clothes. They are not taking care of themselves. They are collecting and having a lot of stuff at home, and making a fire hazard, setting on fires in their living situation. So those are, the dynamic of self-neglect. And I really want us as either service provider or just regular people going on our business, and observing possible self-neglect with our friend, to consider all the points I have here. Really know that, we are looking at a lens where we may not, have those diagnoses, have those issues, and we're looking at it, so, oh, okay, well, we need to help these people. Well, do they need help? Do they want help? Let's make sure that, if someone decided they don't want to take a shower, are we going to call the police and say, hey, this person is self-neglect, but everything else is fine, right? They just have this hygiene stuff. So there are ways to kind of look at it. Who's making those decisions of those determining what is self-neglect, right? And are there anything that we need to be concerned about? Safety, risk of eviction, risk of losing life saving, and losing oh my goodness, I have to slow down when I talk. Risk of death. All that stuff, we have to take that into consideration, to really make sure that we're respecting people's choices. So I just wanted to put that out there. Let's go to the next slide. This is just a quick slip of a screenshot we had taken from the Federal Trade Commission. This is a picture we show that people have got into a situation where they're abused by a romance scam. Okay, and they have documented here that everybody could get into a romance scam. Anybody, any age. So you see different age right here. But the problem we're looking at, and you'll get a PowerPoint when we're done with this presentation, so you can kind of make it bigger and look at more clearly. Problem is that older people, as you see the age goes up, right? The money goes up. And why is that? Why are old people all rich? Everybody's rich? No, because people, when they go older, and hopefully they have life saving, right? And they lose all this life saving to those romance scams. The reason I'm not going to every single scam is that I really want you all to come to our mandated reporter training, and we'll go into in-depth definition and detail about those financial scams. This is just one sneak peek for us to really look at how scary financial abuse could be. And we have found, there's a study in Texas University actually have found that people have experienced financial abuse and financial scam have actually, I think it's the second highest fatality, besides physical abuse and all these different things. It's really scary. So we really wanted to make sure that we have tools and idea to protect people from financial abuse. Let's go to the next slide, please. So these are some red flags. I really want to encourage folks to kind of really pay attention. Now that COVID has slowly gone away, I really hope. I really like what Trey said earlier. Everybody keep updated with their mask and vaccine and stuff like that. We really want to be careful. But as COVID leaves us, we have more opportunity to see people, right? And this is what I wanted to offer when we see people in the community, either at the senior center, community gathering, friend's house, wherever. Look at all this red flag. Somebody might be changing from before we know, right? The changes could be appearance, like this person used to come in very groomed, now they come in not shower, hair never brushed, the clothes is very dirty. What is going on with her or she, right? And behavior different, they be jittery or scared, or just different behavior, like we are observing different ability to take care of themselves. Again, the appearance is very kind of easier to see, but you started to see this person not really eating, not really drinking enough, not really doing stuff to take care of themselves. It could also be like, oh wow, I just found out that so and so is not is not paying their rent. What is going on, right? Those are red flags we really want to pay attention to. The banking habits, that's another thing that we really wanted to pay attention. Why is Mary going to the bank 3 or 5 times a week, where she used to just do a deposit every other week? What is going on? Why is Mary transferring money, or wiring a large amount of money? And this, I really wanted to encourage the bank and folks who work in the financial institution to pay attention to. Really, really scary situation that we wanted to pay attention to that. I'm like holding myself to not tell stories, because I have a lot of stories to tell, and I'm watching my time too. Change it to a state plan. Originally, Johnny and George are getting the money from mom. Now suddenly mom's putting some money aside for this new friend that her name is Tracy. What is going on? Suddenly the estate a change, or switch it up. Oh no, I'm not leaving you all the money, I'm gonna give it to this charity, blah blah blah. Timing is very, very important. Especially a death of a spouse. We noticed that a lot of those online scam, a lot of those scammers, quote, move in, emotionally, is to kind of this timing, right? We are vulnerable when we lost someone, right? When we lose someone. That's really, really important to pay attention to our friends and family and our clients and people we work with. When they lose someone, that's something we really wanted to be aware and offer that support there. Again, new friend, we hear that, right? We hear that, so-and-so always, if mom start talking about Gary, it's coming here, Gary's doing this. Who's this Gary guy you're talking about? Oh, well, he's the guy who, always bring me grocery, and he's taking me to dance, and he's accompanying me into the church and blah, blah, blah. Before you know it, Gary is on the estate planning, right? So we wanted to really kind of, pay attention to that. Can I meet Gary? Can we get together? Stuff like that, to make sure that our people are taken care of. If anything else that this changes that we notice, if somebody move, that's a big thing to pay attention to, and somebody with a new diagnosis, that's something that we really want to watch out for too. So those are just really simple red flag we have put together. We really wanted to kind of have some tool for us to watch out for our friends and families. The next slide is going to be talking a little bit about our program, elder abuse prevention program, and I'll get into resources in just a minute. Okay, this is our program. We if you want to go to the next slide, where we talk about different meetings. So we have different collaborative meetings. We have our forensic center meeting, high risk self-neglect, where we meet with partners to talk about cases that focus on high risk self-neglect. The meeting on forensic center is meetings for those cases where they are potentially an abuser, a situation going on. And we have a death and disability, the elder and disability death review team. So we talk about cases where people have deceased and propose possible policy changes. Yeah. So The open MDT, the multidisciplinary team meetings are open to the public. If folks are interested, at the end of this slide, we're going to have, contact information so you could, contact us. So people can contact us if you have a facility or places that you want us to come in to talk about specifically financial abuse. My coworker, Glenn, and my coworker Annette and I will very, very happy to come out. We will put on our masks. We'll come out with information and flyer and stuff like that, and we'll come to you. So you don't have to come to us. We can come to you, and we can do it on Zoom if you feel more comfortable. Some resources to really keep in mind is whenever you enter and encounter a suspicious, okay, you don't have to see it in person or hear the whole story. If you suspect someone who is being abused, please call Adult Protective Service 553-6700. And of course, we have people who could kind of check in with people about it. Call us if you have any questions. We want to do a consultation. You can give us a call. So I think that's all I have for today. Is my video on? I don't know if I'm.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Okay, great, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Ali, thank you. I mean, this has been very informative, and it's good to know that you are there as a referral resource. At this time, we would like to introduce the Venerable Canon, Nina Pickrell, who is the Archdeacon for the Episcopal Diocese of California, the Vicar of the Bayview Mission, and for the purposes of the San Francisco Interfaith Council, she is a reservist, which is a program of the Community Living Campaign. Nina's work, especially in the Bayview Mission, and she's out in the field really seeing what is happening and is very, very sensitive to the needs of aging adults and people with disabilities. And we thought it would be only appropriate if she would be the respondent to your presentation and pose a few questions. And so with that, we welcome Nina Pickrell. Nina, if you can put your video on so we can see you, and we give you the floor.
Super. Thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you to Michael, to Trey for the computer savvy on the backside, and of course Tom. It's great to be with you again, and of course Ali. Ali and I were able to share some time together about a week and a half ago, and your presentation today has just been outstanding. Thank you. And much like yourself, we can share stories for days on end, like many of us. Thank you for the introduction again, Michael. Yes, been at Grace Cathedral for 20 plus years, and was responsible for the senior program, which we had an absolute great time. But of course, much like Ali's presentation, we were fully aware of our seniors, meeting them with once a month, a simple thing of sending out birthday cards to stay in contact with them, seeing them at church on Sundays. And the one piece that has served me extremely well over the years is documentation, because there are so many times my experience has been that I see something that's what I will call fishy. It's like, this doesn't feel right. And then I start documenting. And we had one couple, Mike and Dave, that's not their proper names. And there was a death, a suspicious death. And I had just finished my internship with the district attorney's office, which is extremely valuable, and then possibly another resource for many of us to take their classes. Another resource that we can all call upon. Plus, when you carry around a district attorney intern green card, you get a lot of clout that goes with it without having to say a whole lot. And I'll give you a real quick example. A gentleman, name is Tom, again, a different Tom, and it's not his proper name, lived in a SRO on the second floor, double crutches, broken elevator. I entered, signed in, went to visit him, took photos of the steps that he had to climb, the bathroom down the hallway. I won't go into any specifics. And I came down the stairs and a gentleman approached me and said, "You're here illegally." And I said, "No, I signed in." And he said, "Well, I'll take your camera." And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, I'm going to call the police." And I said, "Fine, I'll sit right here." And I just happened to pull out my card. And he looked at that and he says, "You're with the district attorney's office?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, as a volunteer, but I don't want to waste your time. You go ahead and I'll just be here." Well, needless to say, I walked out with the camera and went to the district attorney's office and ... So again, we all have stories. We all have stories. What I'm seeing as a reservist, working with, especially now with Bayview Mission, and again, for the last 20 years, is hoarding with our seniors, our SROs, seniors on the street, scam problems, whether it be on the computer or the phone, and the list goes on and on. So, Ali, in keeping the time frame that we have, I would really like to ask you a couple of questions. Is that okay?
Sure, for sure.
Super.
Yes,
Thank
definitely.
you. Why do we not call or make a report to Adult Protective Services or contact institution on aging? Why is that?
Nina, I would really love it to hear why all the time, right? You know, there's so many reasons people don't want to talk about it. You think that that mother in the video at the beginning wanted to tell the world that her own son is abusing her? As a mother, that is so embarrassing, right? So shame is one of the top reason that people don't report. You know, a fear of losing independence. That's another, you know, thing. Oh my God, I can't believe I got into this a romance scam. I lost all my savings. If I let my children know, they're gonna put me in a home. I'm not gonna tell anybody about it. You know, why should I, you know? So shame and fear of losing independence, fear of not people believing me. You know, like the example I gave, you know, people with disability being sexually abused. You know, people won't believe them. That's one of the reasons, and lack of trust. You know, they might be past trauma with the governmental agencies that people, you know, have trauma around it, and they don't trust that, so they don't want to report. Or, you know, they have, like I say, different situation, either immigration situation or the status of HIV, or the status of being the LGBTQ. You know, there's so many reasons people don't want to report. I hope that answers your question.
Oh, it certainly does. What we're facing with here at Bayview Mission, and we see about 50 seniors with food and clothing and kitchen supplies and so and so. But what's really interesting is seeing our seniors taking care of their parents. And this is happening more and more, or families move in with each other in order to financially survive.
Absolutely.
So it's hard. Yeah. So, and I know you've touched on this, and I know our time is limited, but in sharing your wonderful information about resources, how do we report?
Yes.
What number, what agency? I mean, I know you've touched on, of course, Institution on Aging, but as an individual, how can we make that phone call and also put the word out that once a phone call goes into Adult Protective Services, your name is protected?
Oh, that's fantastic. That's a fantastic question. So first of all, don't call institutional agent to report elder abuse. Don't.
There you go.
Yeah, because it's not a 24-hour. We have a IOA Connect, but that's not the number. The number to call is the county number, the 355-6700 number. 355-6700. I am sure there's an 800 toll-free number that I'm not memorizing it, but somebody could put it in the chat, and we can share it out. Please, if you just suspect, you know, please call this number to make that report and make a consultation. Hey, you know, I heard this I heard this about my neighbor. I just wanted to, run across with you guys. There's a situation, my neighbors, he's moving his aunt into nursing home so he can take over the house. I'm really worried about, his aunt because I'm really close to her, blah, blah, blah. Can you do something about it? Make that report and make that consultation. It's really, really important. And not to say like a lot of us are mandated reporter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And just kind of like follow up with that is like not only making that report, it's also key to take those mandated reporter trainings. We have those trainings scheduled through Institute on Aging, through Department of Disability and Aging Services. So please find out and sign up. If you can't find those information, email us. A as an Apple, Chiu, CHIU @ioaging.org. Email us and we will get that information to you.
Excellent, excellent. So one other very difficult question. Is there a possibility of intervening as a prevention? Intervening to prevent? Is it magical thinking? Or what preventive measures can we take as citizens, as human beings?
I really think that with everything, prevention is really the key. We have to prevent. Otherwise, we're just playing defense, like we're playing basketball, right? You have to. It's really funny when I talk. I use so many basketball logo. We have to play offense. We can't just keep playing defense, right? Prevention is really the key. Keep eye on our friends and families and our seniors and people with disability. Watch out for this red flag that we talk about and take those education. Educate ourselves on self-neglect. Educate ourselves on different type of financial scam that's out there. We originally hear a lot about grandparent scams. That doesn't happen anymore. Oh, it does. It does. People still call and say, grandma, and they have all this different thing about grandparent scam. They have all this different thing about romance scam. You don't just meet someone on Tinder or what is that? Okay, COVID. Okay, Cupid. Sorry. But people are getting to date people because they watch obituary and they date people from those poker games, from those word puzzle games, and I can go on and on about the scenario that we have seen, right? So watch out for our people. Make sure there's no isolation. Call the friendship line. If people are isolated, refer them to talk to the friendship line. Just prevent that isolation. That we really would do a lot for folks.
Great, thank you.
I'm so passionate.
That was one of my questions to you, but I want to say, of course, working with Michael and Tom and you and Institution on Aging for these classes that are being put together and offered to clergy, medical staff, and the list goes on and on, because prevention, I mean, that's one thing we do at Bayview Mission. If we don't see a senior for a month, well, what's happened? But we have name and addresses for them that we can make a visit. And I have the tendency to say, may I swing by and have a cup of tea with you? And sometimes it's no. Okay, why is it no? And then another approach, back off, see him next month, and so on. The birthday card, something so simple. I had one senior at Grace Cathedral, and we were sending out close to, I think, 150 cards. And I'd get one that says, I'm a senior, but I don't need a birthday card. Okay, fine. That goes in that pile. But the other card was, it's the only card I received.
Yeah. So
again, it's constant, of course, if I could wiggle my nose, we'd have reverbers everywhere within the city that we could really be one-on-one with folks. But the classes that are going to be offered are fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to working with you and Michael, and of course, Tom and Trey. Hopefully he's with us every time that the internet goes well. Okay, thank you, Ali. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ali, we had one question in the chat, and I just wanted to add to what Nina was saying. If someone reports to protective services and no action is taken, what do you suggest?
That's a good question. And I think that, we can look at what quote no action means, right? A lot of time when we are looking at outside, we go, oh, nothing's happening, but something might be happening. You know what I mean? As someone who had done case management work for 20 years, a lot of time people say, you're not doing anything. Oh, yes, I am. Right. So a lot of time we see this nothing's happening. One thing to really know that Adult Protective Services, it's a county-based service, and it's a voluntary service. If they go to someone's door and they say, I don't want nothing to do with you, go away, they really can't do much. Although they do, they really persist, they persist and persist. And I have to shout out every time I do this presentation is we have the best Adult Protective Services worker in the entire country. I may say so myself. And really, really, really go above and beyond. A lot of them, just call or email or a letter, whatever. They don't give up, and of course, at the end of the day, the victims / survivors say, no, I don't want your service. There's really not much they can do. So they have limitation. There's limitation there. But as a community member, I think that, I want to repeat myself, is we want to be there for them. If they don't want support right now, give them some space and watch out for safety, watch out for other stuff. And we can come in again and say, hey, let's make another report. And hopefully something in the positive direction will happen for them.
Nina?
Thank you, Ali, for that. And thank you for the person who asked the question. My experience has been that there are times where the person says no. And a good piece to know is that that file will be placed in a sealed envelope. So when the second call comes in, then they pull that first incident or that first caller, and it gives it a little more oomph for that. And also an area for our seniors that we're questioning, oh my goodness, why are they on the road? I saw them, go down a one-way street and so on, is that the Department of Vehicles, DMV, has a senior individual who is responsible for those type of reports to DMV, where the staff member, I think there's two now, that will go out to the home and make a assessment. And so there's also that piece when it comes to seniors driving. If they see me driving up and down the street and going, let's have someone knock on Nina's door from DMV. So there's also another avenue for another area. Mm-hmm.
Thank you both. And I want to tell you, I was really struck by one of the first slides you had, and that was the percentages of seniors, and we're living longer.
Yes.
And I have to tell you, perhaps one of the most challenging and painful, life passages was caring for my parents as they aged, and especially my mom as memory loss set in. And I kept coming back to the fact that, she took care of me when I was younger, and it's my responsibility now to say thank you. Yes. And we do that not only for our own parents, but those of us who are in ministry, we do that for our spiritual parents as well. And so this work that is being done both at IOA and in the reservist program, and as Nina referenced, and Ali did too, is we are looking forward to developing a curriculum in collaboration with the Institute on Aging, where our community and faith partners can have training in a whole series of issues related to aging adults, so that their ministries and their volunteer work can be enriched. So stay tuned, it's coming. We want to say thank you to our presenters, and to Tom Nolan, our dear friend. Thank you also. And we would invite you to please join us on Thursday, October 27th at 8:30 a.m. when we welcome the newly appointed American Red Cross Regional CEO, Hannah Malik. Hannah will discuss his vision for the American Red Cross moving forward, as well as services and programs it provides, with a special focus on programs it provides in collaboration with our city's communities of faith. So that is next week, October 27th. That brings to a close our program today, right on time, 9:30. And have a beautiful rest of your day and weekend. God bless you and God keep you.